we're gonna touch on the rest of what you need to know for the test.
Okay.
Okay. So the last time I gave you these formulas on the test, I'm going to give you a little more than those. This actually won't be there. That M won't be there. It'll be a spot. That. And I'm referring to these as the skeleton equations. So you have your two equations that you can use, or two forms that you can use to get an equation, and then these are the skeletons showing you basically where do you need to plug things in. Now you're going to have to know what has to go in each one of those spots, but at least it gives you a little bit more of how to work with these two equations. And then for the slope, I'm going to give you a graph that looks like this with a point and just dashes like that, and says run, rise, and then maybe up here I'll have rise over run. Will that be more helpful to you guys? Yes, no, maybe so. You're awake. Come on. All right. So, Desmos. How are you feeling on Desmos, on using it?
I love it as a tool. It's a really good tool.
Okay. Anyone have any questions on how to use it? Remember, it's, and I'll have that up there too.
I have no idea.
What was that? Jackson? You said you have no idea how to use it?
I have no idea how to use it at all.
Well, let me show you, because I think you will love it. Maybe, if I can get there. Why isn't this going? Ah, there we go. All right. So Desmos is DESMOS.com. And you click on graphing calculator. So if you want to check your slopes that they give you, like they give you an equation and you look at the graph and you calculate out the slope, but you don't know if your graph is that accurate, you can go to Desmos and type in an equation, and it doesn't even have to be solved for y. You can type it in just like this, and it will graph it for you. So on this graph, I would pick this point right here and put a point there of 0, 2, and put a point here of 3, 0. That gives you the x-intercept. I'm sorry, the x-intercept here is equal to 3, and the y-intercept is equal to 2. So you can help you figure out your intercepts. you can also use this for your rise and your run. So I'm rising a -2 units and running over 3 units. So I have a slope of a -2/3. Okay. So it's just a matter of getting in there and typing in the equation just the way you see it. Where we used it was the last section 7, where it says solving systems of equations by graphing, and they give you 2 equations. And they want you to solve the system of equations. Well, in this case, you can see that those 2 equations are parallel lines. So there is no solution to them. Okay. You can just continue to go down here and type in lines. They can be in any form, which is really nice, because even on the graphing calculators, you have to have it as y equals. You can't type it in like the first 3. It has to be like the 4th one. But because it's green and purple, I know I'm looking at the green and purple one, and their point of intersection is right there. It tells you the coordinates if you click on it. Gives you the coordinates as -2, 0, and that would be the solution. So when we're trying to solve the solutions, we're doing it, we can do it with Desmos. For the last section of the book, or the last section of the chapter, I'm going to hold off on that. And I'm just, if I ask you to solve a system of solutions, I'm going to assume that you're going to go and use Desmos as a graphing tool. Because at this point, I don't really have any need to teach you how to solve a system of equations algebraically. I don't want to get into that because I want to focus on the lines, the slopes, the y-intercepts, the x-intercepts, and how to create an equation of a line. Okay. What happens when we put 2 points in? And -2, comma 5. Okay, it tells me I have an error, right? There. By putting a comma in between the points, I can just get the individual points to show up there. And then I can, I think, connect them. Nope, can't. I can label them. And I can label them A, comma, B. Oops. But I can just put those points in also. Gianna, do you know, is there a way to get an equation of a line from those 2 points?
What? Sorry, I was kind of half asleep.
Yeah. When you put two points in, can you get an equation of a line from Desmos? Do you know?
I don't think so.
Okay. I didn't know if you could or not. But
no, I don't think so.
But you could use this.
I haven't really been using Desmos though.
Okay. So if you have trouble with calculating the slope using just from the 2 points here, like using the formula of y minus y over x minus x, you can come in here and put those 2 points in and see them graphically. And I'm going to turn off, I'm going to get rid of these other lines here. And then you can look at how much do I have to go down. I have to go down 1, 2 units. and over 2 units. So I can see that my slope of my line should come down to 1. So 5 minus 3 is 2. Negative 2 minus 0 is a negative 2. So my slope of my line is negative 1. 2 over negative 2. So you can do it algebraically by taking the difference. You can come and plot those points on Desmos and look at rise and run. So use this tool. Jackson, do you think that's very hard to use? Are you awake, Jackson?
No.
No.
Yes.
Yes,
Not
you're
very
awake.
Yeah, this is a great tool.
Yes, you're awake, and you don't think it's hard to use.
It's a great tool. Yay.
It is a great tool.
Yeah, this is fine.
Yeah. Okay. So, like I said,
It's the best thing in the universe.
and it's use it to not only to just do the problems for you, but to check your work that you've done. So go in there, and if it asks you to create an equation of a line through 2 points, you can go and create that equation, go to Desmos, type it in, and make sure that that equation has those 2 points on that line. Like this. Okay. So if I give 5, negative 2, and 0, 3, and I say create an equation of a line using point slope. Not point slope. Yeah, point slope. We have 2 points. We need to figure out the slope. So we calculate it. 3 minus a minus 2 over 0 minus 5. So 3 minus a minus 2 would be 5. 0 minus 5 would be negative 5. And I get negative 1 as my slope. What do I do? Once I have my slope, I use one of these points. It doesn't matter which one. Y minus 3 equals negative 1 times x minus 0. Okay, once I have that, I can go to Desmos, type in that equation. Y minus 3 equals negative 1 times x minus 0. Okay, so I have those two. Is 0, 3 a point on that line? Yes, right there. And is, what was the other one? Negative 2, 5. Is negative 2, 5 a point on that line? Yes, it is. I think it probably just puts the, there, negative 2, 5. What negative 2, 5 was on that line. So you can say, yes, I'm pretty confident that that is the equation of the line through those 2 points. So that's a way to check your work using Desmos. Okay, so the one thing we really haven't gone over or haven't talked about were the story problems that that we had that talked about slopes or wanted you to compare some slopes. So I want to look at that a minute. There's a couple different types of story problems I want to look at. But, is one where they give you a graph and they want you to compare it to another equation. Why can't I find it? Yeah, I don't think I'm going to be able to find it in this book. Okay, I'll just make up one. So, Tony and Fred swim a marathon the graph shows Tony's speed. Okay, so we have this graph over here, and he starts out, and over time, this is going to be 50 feet, and this is going to be in terms of 2 minutes. After 2 minutes, he's at 100 feet. After 3 minutes, he's at, or I'm sorry, after 4 minutes, he's at 100 feet. After 6 minutes, he's at 150 feet, and so on. I know that's slow. Don't worry. And then Fred, we're going to look at his by a chart. And this would actually say that Fred starts out 50 feet in front of Tony. I can't get my name straight. Tony starts out 50 feet in front of Fred. And he swims at time 0, he's at 0. At time 2, he's at 30. At time 2, he's at 45. Let's go there. 90. Does Fred ever catch up with Tony during the 20 minutes of the marathon? Is there a way that you could figure that out using slopes?
You figure out slope for Fred's, right?
Yep. So Fred would be 45 minus 0 over 2 minus 0. 45 divided by 2 is 22.5 feet per minute. Can we calculate the slope of Tony? So 0, 50.
Can't you do it rise over run?
Yep, you can. Or you can do the 2 points. So rising 50, running over 2. 50 divided by 2 is 25. So Tony started out 50 feet in front and has a speed or a slope of 25 per minute. Tony starts out at 0 and has a speed or a slope of 22.5, which is less than Tony's. So Fred would never be able to catch up to Tony. Tony keeps getting further and further and further apart. Does that make sense? Or am I just messing around with you guys and getting you completely confused?
That makes sense to me.
So by comparing the slopes, we can tell some things about what's happening there. The other type of story problem would be a charter bus travels 210 miles in 3 hours or 3.5 hours. How far will the bus travel in 6 hours? So on this one, we're going to figure out, well, let's look at the known condition and figure out how many miles per hour he travels. So 210 miles in 3.5 hours comes out to be 210 divided by 3.5 is 60 miles per hour. So how far will it travel in 6 hours? 6 times 60 would be 360 miles. Is that a reasonable answer?
Yes.
Thanks, Matthew. Yes, it is reasonable because if you think about what you were given up here, if you double that, you get 7 hours. We can say, well, 7 hours, he's going to travel 420 miles. 6 hours is less than 7 hours, so the distance traveled has to be less than 420, which it is. So yes, it is a reasonable answer. So look for the practice test later on today. I hope to have it up there by 11, and you'll have the weekend to work on it, and we'll go from there.